I want to tell you about the week I almost became someone's obsession. Not a thriller, not a movie. This is something that happened to me in a rented cottage in the middle of nowhere, and I've spent every day since trying to figure out how much he saw. By the end of this, you're going to look at every smoke detector in your home differently. I promise you that. My name is Claire, and for 5 days in October, I was being watched. I just didn't know it yet. I booked the place 3 weeks out. Thornwood Cottage, that's what the listing called it. 4.9 stars, 97 reviews. Every single one of them raving about how peaceful it was, how thoughtful the host was, how they felt like the only person on earth out there. I'm a writer, or I'm trying to be. I'd hit a wall on my manuscript and my apartment in the city felt like a cage, so I typed "secluded writing retreat" into the search bar, and there it was. Stone walls, a clawfoot bathtub, a wood-burning fireplace, and acres of forest on every side. It was perfect, I mean that. Genuinely, visually, postcard perfect. The host, his name was Daniel, had left a handwritten welcome note on the kitchen table. Fountain pen, real stationery. It said, "The kettle is ready. The firewood is dry. Make this place yours." There was a bottle of local wine and a tin of shortbread biscuits. That exact thought, haunts me now. The first thing I noticed was the laptop. I know exactly how I leave my things. It's a writer thing, maybe an anxiety thing. I always angle my laptop slightly to the left of the power cable, lit at about 30 degrees when I'm not typing. When I came back from a walk on day 2, it was closed, fully closed, centered on the desk. I told myself I'd done it before leaving and forgotten, completely plausible. The second thing was the mug. I'd made tea the night before and left the mug on the counter. I'm not proud of it, but I was mid-thought and I left it unwashed. The next morning it was in the drying rack, clean. Upside down on the rubber mat the way you'd put it if you lived there. I checked the door, locked, all the windows, latched from the inside. I stood in that kitchen for a long time, convincing myself I'd washed it half asleep. The third thing was the smell. It started on day 3, faint, chemical, almost medicinal, like a hospital corridor but softer. I found it strongest near the bathroom and in the hallway outside the bedroom door. I searched for cleaning products under the sink, thinking maybe a slow bleach leak somewhere. Nothing. I messaged Daniel on the platform, "Hey, any chance there's maintenance happening nearby?" Getting a faint chemical smell, nothing major, just curious. He replied in 4 minutes. "I'm so sorry, Claire. I had the place professionally cleaned the day before you arrived. Sometimes the product lingers a little longer in older stone properties. Completely harmless, should be gone by tomorrow. Let me know if there's anything else I can do." 4 minutes to reply. At 11:47 at night. I told myself, attentive host, good reviews. Of course he checks his messages. I put my phone on the nightstand and I went to sleep. I found it on day 4, and I want you to understand, I wasn't looking for it. I wasn't suspicious in that way. I'd mostly talked myself out of the mug, out of the laptop, out of the smell. I was changing the sheets, not because I had to, the bed was fine, but because I was stressed about the manuscript and I needed something physical to do with my hands. And when I pulled the fitted sheet off the corner near the headboard and stood up, I was at a different height than usual, slightly elevated on the mattress. And I was looking directly at the smoke detector above the bedroom door at eye level. There's a specific way a pinhole camera lens catches light. It's very small, maybe 2 millimeters. But if the angle is right and you're at the right height and the room is dim enough that your eyes have adjusted, you see it, a tiny perfect glass circle, reflecting. I stood on that mattress for what felt like 4 full minutes without moving. Then I climbed down very slowly, picked up my phone, and walked outside. I called the police from the driveway, kept my voice low like he could hear me, which I realized standing there was not an irrational thing to think. 2 officers arrived within 40 minutes. They were kind, they were thorough. They went into the bedroom with a stepladder and took the smoke detector down. It was a standard smoke detector. No lens, no camera, no wiring that shouldn't be there. One of the officers looked at me the way people look at someone who's been alone too long, and I almost believed them. Daniel arrived 20 minutes after the police left. He didn't call first. He just appeared, a silver pickup truck pulling slowly up the gravel drive. He stepped out in work boots and a canvas jacket, and he looked concerned, genuinely, warmly, deeply concerned. "Claire," he said, "I came as soon as I heard there'd been some trouble." He was in his late 40s, big hands, a calm face with deep-set eyes that held eye contact slightly longer than most people do. Not aggressive, just steady, like a person who's used to waiting. I told him what I'd seen, calmly, factually, the lens, the light, the angle, the way it caught. He listened with his hands folded in front of him. He nodded, and then he said, "I hear you, and I'm so sorry that your stay has been frightening, but I want to be very clear. There are no cameras in this property. There never have been. The listing states that explicitly, and it's always been true." He said it the way someone says something they've rehearsed for a situation they've anticipated. I asked him about the mug. He said the cleaner sometimes does a final check after guests arrive, which, no, that's not a thing. I asked about the laptop. He looked confused and said he didn't understand what I meant. He offered me a full refund. He suggested maybe I'd benefit from going home early. He said it gently, like a doctor gently suggesting a rest, and the whole time those eyes never broke contact. I packed my car in 35 minutes. He stood by his truck and watched me the whole time. "Drive safe, Claire," he said as I pulled out. "Long way back to the city." I was 3 hours into the drive home when it hit me. Long way back to the city. I'd never told Daniel where I lived, not in the booking. I'd used a P.O. box for my billing address since a bad experience 2 years ago. Not in any message, not in conversation, not ever. I went back through every message on the platform, every review. I looked up the property again. 97 5-star reviews. I'd read them. I had not looked at who left them. Most were generic profile pictures, usernames with numbers. A few had first names. None of them had responded to the host reply comments, which is normal mostly. People don't usually check back. But one review, a woman named Sarah, who'd stayed 14 months earlier, had left a long, detailed review and then come back to add an edit 3 weeks later. Her added note said just, "Felt I should update this, would not stay again," left it at that. Her profile was private. I sent her a message. She never replied. Her account went inactive 11 months ago. I pulled over at a gas station and I sat in a fluorescent parking lot and I thought about Daniel's hands, his truck, his eyes, the way he'd said long way back to the city, like it was a fact he already owned. And then I remembered something I hadn't thought about once in 3 hours of driving. On the welcome note, the handwritten one on the stationery, below, "Make this place yours." There was a small line I hadn't paid attention to. "P.S. Safe travels. The roads in this county can be tricky at night." I'd arrived at 3 in the afternoon, in clear daylight, on a Tuesday. He wrote that note before I arrived. That night, I did something I probably should have done the moment I left. I looked up Daniel's full name, which was on the rental agreement confirmation email. He wasn't a farmer. He wasn't a property manager. His commercial license, publicly listed, legally required, showed that Daniel operated a Class A CDL truck on a regional freight route. His route passed through my city every 2 weeks. The next scheduled run was in 9 days. I reported everything. The platform, the police, the CDL registry. I changed my address. I told my neighbors. Nothing came of it. No charges. No investigation. The listing is still up. Last I checked, 99 reviews, 4.9 stars. I don't know exactly what Daniel saw. I don't know if the camera was there from the start or if he swapped it out before the police arrived, because the smoke detector that was there when I left was not the one I'd seen from the mattress. I know that. I know what I saw. I just can't prove it. The thing about being watched is that the damage isn't in the moment. It's in every moment after. When you walk into your kitchen and see a mug in the dish rack, and for 1/2 second your whole body goes cold. I'm not scared of Daniel finding me anymore. I've made my peace with that uncertainty. But I check every smoke detector I sleep under now. Every single one. If this story got under your skin, share it with someone who's planning an Airbnb stay. Check the comments. I want to know if anything like this has ever happened to you. Subscribe if you're new, and keep the lights on.